Hi guys, this video will be a review and demo of the Alpha Brush size 9 Kolinsky brush. And I love this packaging. I actually kept the packaging. I know it's a little extra, but I kept it for backgrounds when I take certain pictures of nails or other products. I think it just pops really nice. So this is the brush. I always try to keep the little plastic containers, especially if I travel, if I have to go somewhere. Back then I used to travel a lot, so I would take my equipment to my clients. I don't do that as much anymore, but if you do travel, try to keep them because it keeps your brushes really nice and put together. And it's really pretty. I love the handwriting, and it's thin, not too bulky for my hands. And also this little plastic container that I just took off, you also want to keep that if you want to keep your brushes in storage or if you travel with them. Now I picked a pre-pinched brush, which simply means it's pinched closer to the end. What that does is it makes your brush kind of flat. Even though my brush is oval and it's more of a round shape, which is what I prefer to use, I like that it's pre-pinched, and I'm gonna show you how to clean it when you first get a new brush. I put a little bit of acetone and then I break the brush, which a lot of the little particles and powder comes off of the brush that is put in there to keep the brush's shape when it's first delivered to you, and that doesn't do any harm to the clients or anything like that at all. I just personally like to clean it off right before I use it every single time, even when it's new. And you just go from side to side. You want to make sure you're wiping it on the container and you're going back in there and dipping it. Another thing you got to know about brushes is in order to keep its shape really nice and flat, you have to decide what's going to be the top and the bottom of your brush, so that way you always have it flat. You don't want to just turn it around and every time you use your brush you're switching sides. It's never going to be able to be as flat as it is right now, and it always looks like that after use if properly cleaned. It's also called training your brush. One side, then the other side, one side make one side your front, and your beads are going to come out perfect. Your acrylic application will be so much better as well if you keep your brush nice and flat every single time. Use it before and after. Now this is the Alpha Brush website. Is a really simple, clean website. I go in there and you can find everything you need right away. There's no trying to figure things out, and they just show you they have the oval Kolinsky brushes in pre-pinched or not pre-pinched, and also they call it pressed, which is also pre-pinched, and it just shows all their social media. And I go into the brushes, specifically the pressed, the pre-pinched ones. They have gel brushes as well, and just to know pricing, you know, size 6 about $8, size 9 $20, $260, which is the size that I have, and then a 10 and a 12, 14 and 18. There's many of these brushes that I want to definitely try out. Now I'm going to use Young Nails monomer and clear acrylic powder to do this set. And this is a good trick you can learn. If you use the rim of your brush to pour the monomer, it goes straight into whatever container you do, and it doesn't spill, it doesn't make a mess or anything like that. I love doing that. And before you start with your brush, you want to also push it down in the container. That way you take all the air bubbles out. I'm using Nail Art Cee Cee powder, and I'm using Glam and Glits Berry Bliss, and I use the 77 on the left side. I don't use the 95. These are powders that I make myself, so I'll have links below if you want to know how to make your own glitter and solid color acrylics. So when I first did this first application, it actually went on really nice. I've been through my brushes of acrylics and gel, and I've tried plenty of them. And I just always prefer the more fuller brushes. And this size, the size 9, is actually now going to be one of my favorites because I usually have 8s, 10s, 12s. I've never had a 9 where it's small enough to be able to do the pinky with no issue, or to be able to do any kind of nice designs, as well as it's big enough to be able to take on the thumb without struggling with little beads all the time. So I really did like this size, and I'm glad I went with this size. They do have a ton more sizes. I want to try the 14, the 12, you know, because like I said, sometimes I'm into doing just one bead for the nail, and sometimes I want to do many little beads. So it really depends. I personally like to work with more beads than one bead, I rather have a medium, smaller brush. But it's nice to know that they have the options to choose. And I simply just do both of the golds. I do the way tinier gold, which is what I'm applying right now, to both of these nails. And then I go and do the chunkier glitter. The only reason why I don't just do the chunky glitter is because it is chunky and it'll be transparent and you'll see through some of the gaps, as well as it is chunkier, so your nail will be even thicker. You just want to do a small little bead just to have the top of the nail covered in the gold to give that 3D effect. And for this nail, I decided to divide it and do just the gold in the center. And I will, after applying the second thicker, chunkier glitter, I will encapsulate it because I will be doing filing on the sides and on the top before I apply the other two colors on the right and the left side as well. So as you can see with the brush, it's stiff enough to be able to clean up your acrylic, but it's not overly stiff and it's not too soft where it doesn't help clean up anything. So I really do like that, because there's some brushes that are really stiff that'll leave like dips in your acrylic if you don't hold them upright. And there's also brushes that are just so soft. The bristles are so soft that it doesn't really move the product too much. It has to be extremely wet in order for the product to move. So I really do like that about this brush. And now I'm going in with the Berry Bliss. This is like a hot pink, orangey type of color. I can't even explain it, but it's so pretty. It's like a neon color. And there is a difference, believe it or not, in applying how it feels to apply a solid acrylic color compared to a glitter. There's just a big difference. Here I work with smaller beads and with a more wet consistency of acrylic with the solid color. When you do glitters, they dry out faster. It's a little bit more harder to work with if you don't have enough of the liquid, because it's chunkier glitter and needs more liquid. But so far I'm liking the way it applies the solid colors. It gives me more time to be able to move my acrylic and not leave any dents or imperfection. And as you can see, I'm still keeping the shape of my brush. You have to always, even when I'm cleaning it and go back into the monomer, because anytime you grab new acrylic and apply it, you want to make sure, what I mean by new acrylic, I mean new acrylic color or glitter or a different shade. You always want to make sure you really clean your brush in your napkin that I have next, because if you don't, then that color is going to blend into the next color that you're doing, and then your brush is going to get acrylic stuck in it, and then that's how you get acrylic in your brush, and you're sitting there after your client trying to hurry up and clean that brush to be ready for your next client, or at least to be ready to store it and put it away, and you want to prevent all that. And this is my Exacto blade. I got this from Walmart for just a few dollars. It's literally Exacto, but I say Exacto because, you know, I'm Mexican, so I pronounce it that way. But I love this blade. This blade is awesome. You always want to make sure you dull it down first. You can use anything, sandpaper, a rock, anything that you can really dull it down so that you don't cut your client. It should not be sharp. Like, I have it on my finger. I use my finger to wipe off any excess acrylic, and it never scratches me or cuts me because it is dulled down. So I use this to cut off my acrylics whenever I do any cutout nails of acrylic. And it looks like I'm being a little rough. I'm really not. It's not sharp. I use it on my fingers, as you can see, and I'm not cutting myself at all. And this is how I do this nail. I literally go in layers, and I'm using the brush to clean off any extra glitter or acrylic. If I don't work fast enough, you will be able to tell that it dries up, and then I can't remove it with the brush because it is drying up too fast. So that's when it doesn't really honestly matter. You can use the blade, or you can simply wait until it dries, encapsulate any glitters or very light acrylic colors, and then just use a little file and file it off. But you want to be careful to not burn your client's nail plates, because the way you hold the file can rub back and forth on their nail plates. Now I decided to use this white from Absolute OPI instead of that other glitter that I didn't use, because I felt like it needed a pop of bright color. Even though we're using a bright pink orange already, I still wanted to use a color that will balance it out really nice and evenly. Now this white, as well as many whites, dry really fast. and they get hard really fast because of the amount of pigment that is put into the acrylic. I don't know if you can still see, but you can still see how nice and formed my brush is. And this is my using a file. This is a mannequin hand. It's a practice hand. So I honestly I'm not sitting here considering the amount of force or effort I'm putting into the nail plates because it is not a person. But when it is a client, you always want to make sure you're not laying it completely flat parallel into their nail. You want to lift it a little bit and just file off the acrylic, not actually touch her nail plate. That way you don't give any heat strokes or anything like that. And seriously, I really do like the brush. I'm not just saying it because I got the brush. I'm honestly saying I've really like the brush, especially it seems like it's very beginner friendly. Like there's some brushes that you have to get used to either the handle or the grip or just the way the bristles work, and those are the type of brushes that are really good if you know how to use it properly. But this one just seems like it goes with the flow. It honestly lets your acrylic work. And I'm using different type of acrylics, some fast drying acrylics and some slower drying acrylics, and it still works pretty fine. I really do like that. That is why I wanted to do a whole set of design nails so I can see how the brush works with every single product. And I already work with Young Nails, so I know how that product works with all my other brushes. So I wanted to just compare the difference and see if, you know, if it's worth it to get this brush, and it honestly is. Now I am showing you how to clean your brush after every single client. You just push all the way down from side to side. You want to make sure it gets into your bristles. You want to make sure you're wiping it back and forth. And like I said, you always use a napkin and always do front and back. Always pick a front side, always pick a back side, because you want to keep your brush as flat as possible. You see, it still went right back to normal. I know it's the first time use, but if you honestly stick to cleaning your brushes this way, you will keep your brushes this clean and this nice. If you do get acrylic stuck in there, you want to make sure you leave it in acetone for 5 to 10 minutes and then use your own nails and just kind of rub it off very gently, or you can use a cuticle pusher and very gently rub it off. This is the final look after using the Alpha brush to do this nail set. I'm using E-Nail Couture Top Coat. One of my favorite top coats. As you can tell, it's been through a lot. This is my second bottle and I still gotta place another order because it's one of my favorite top coats. Now I am top coating it. It looks super pretty. I was gonna put crystals on the side, and you know what? Let the acrylic do the talking here in this beautiful gold glitter. And this is the final look after applying acrylic on this nail set. I really hope you guys like it and enjoyed the video. Go ahead and check them out. They're really worth it, and I honestly think it's something you should invest in. Thanks again, guys, for watching.